I believe most veterans have no idea what happens to their benefits when they die. And I'm going to go a step further. Some of you think your family is automatically taken care of, and they're not. And that belief could cost them thousands every single month. Here's the deal. Dependency and Indemnity Compensation, otherwise known as DIC, is the VA's main survivor benefit. Listen, it's tax-free, it's monthly, and it can literally change the lives of a veteran's spouse, kids, or even parents. But most people don't even know what it is, or who qualifies, or even how to apply. And trust me, the VA isn't exactly calling your spouse up to explain it when they're gone. So what happens if you don't understand it? Your spouse might get denied, your kids might miss out on educational benefits, your family could lose their home. But if you do understand it, if you file the right way, submit an intent to file, and know the rules, you're not just protecting your legacy, you're protecting your family's future. And that's what today's episode is all about. Hey, Josh, good to see you back here again.
I'm great to be here.
So I kind of want to roll.
That one in there.
I want to roll right into today's talk because it's going to probably be very technical, a lot of details, and I want to take our time with it so our listeners and viewers can really understand it, right? Because we're going to be talking about DIC. I've already talked about a little bit what it is, but I want you to kind of and just bird's eye view. What is DIC?
The definition for DIC is a dependency, indemnity. Indemnity. Yeah, there we go.
Not identity.
I keep messing that one up. Compensation. So basically what it is a tax-free monthly stipend for surviving spouses and their children for someone who has a service connection death.
So essentially, it's the VA's way of saying if your veteran cause of death was because of a service-connected disability, then you'll be taken care of with survivor benefits.
Correct.
Right? And it's a tax-free monthly stipend.
Yes.
For the rest of your life, right? For dependents, spouse, widows, and children.
Correct.
And we'll get into the definitions of those.
There's a lot of rules and regulations on it, but
and remember, it's not a pension, right?
No.
It is not taxable.
Nope.
Right? And you do have to, there is some strict guidelines with getting it.
There's some strict ones.
So let's give an example of what this would look like, right? So say a veteran is service-connected for coronary artery disease, and they die from a massive heart attack. They go into, VTAC, VFib, and they have to go to the hospital. They try to revive them, they do CPR, and they don't live, right? And they put on the death certificate, cause of death was coronary artery disease. Then, they're already service-connected for it. So then the spouse would file for the DIC.
Yes.
And they should be awarded it.
Should be.
Because the cause of death of that veteran was because of a service-connected disability.
Yes.
So who qualifies for DIC?
It's going to be the spouse. It's surviving children under the age of 18.
So yes, surviving children under the age 18 or under the age of 23 if they're in school.
Yes. So that's where we're going to start getting into the technicals.
We should, because it's important, because there are some, even the married part is very technical.
Very.
And so we have notes here I kind of want to go through and read. But eligible, right? So if you were married to the veteran for at least 1 year. So if you got married and it's not been a year,
you have to be a year.
You're SOL, right? So you have to have been married at least a year or longer. Or you're married with the veteran within 15 years of the period of service during which the service-connected illness or injury began. Or, lastly, you had a biological child with the veteran. And I should clarify, it's not just biological. I think it's also adopted, right?
Yes.
If it is a legal.
It has to be a legal
child, right?
Legal adoption.
So, yeah, it can be a biological or adopted child. I want to make sure I clarify that. Any other criteria when it comes to being married?
This is one of the ones that most people don't think about. It's common law. They will, if it's 20 years, common law marriage, they will recognize it.
Wow. Now, what about remarriages?
This is where you kind of get a little bit in the number zone.
Okay.
So with being remarried, you have to be after 55.
Yeah.
Or 57.
And they changed that because it used to be that if you got remarried, you lost. You couldn't get DIC
right
at all.
It went bam. Soon you got cut off as soon as you got remarried. So if you're 50 and you pass away. I mean, it's not uncommon. People get remarried a year or two years later because,
lonely. Yeah. It's just
loneliness. Yeah. It's life. No one's judging you. If you're after 55, they still can collect. Before that, they will sever it.
So that's a big if and but, right? But if you do remarry, it's not over. Don't give up hope.
No.
You just have to wait till after you're 55.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. All right. So we've talked about it, right? So we know that spouses or widows of veterans qualify. We've talked about how children who are under 18 or under 23 and full-time students qualify. But there's a third group that a lot of people don't understand qualifies.
Yes.
Who is it?
This is a tough one. This is the parents.
Okay.
Parents of a deceased veteran.
Yeah. And so what kind of are we talking here? How does that work?
So it's very confusing. It's very, very strict about their eligibility. It's based on income needs. They must not be married, must have, we're going down the tiers of everything. So no kids, no, not married, nothing. There's nothing to go to.
Veteran that died, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And then the parents have to take in based on their income.
So the eligibility is a bit more limited.
It's very limited.
Just clarify the eligibility for DIC. So these ones, I don't want to mess it up, so I'm going to read it off here. So the veteran does not have to die on active duty, all right?
Correct.
For the survivors to qualify. Again, it just has to have died from a currently service-connected disability, right? And so here are the two main qualifying situations. One, we talked about, their death was from a service-connected disability.
Yes.
Or the veteran was rated totally disabled at 100% for at least 10 years prior to the death, or 8 years of married, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, to the same spouse during that time. So that is a little bit of a different differentiation, right? So if you are 100% and you've been that way for 10 years or 8 years if you're married, you may be able to qualify for DIC. I think a lot of guys don't know that. I think a lot of guys think that, first of all, I think a lot of people know what DIC is, but then people that do just think that you have to have died from a service-connected disability. And beyond that, who's going to be applying for this? Not the veteran who knows about it.
No.
It's the spouse or the child or the parent. And if they're not equipped with the knowledge, it's just that those are benefits that get lost.
It's not given.
And I'll be honest, the VA is not going to knock on your door and say, hey, you're leaving money on the table. Come talk to us.
If you're one of the lucky ones, you may get something in the mail from the VA that says, here's a burial benefit guide. We're sorry to learn about the veterans.
Yeah.
Passing. That's not common.
Yeah. So, what, if you're a spouse, your mill spouse, veteran spouse, you have questions about this, you can either call us, and we'll help guide you through it, or you can call one of our partners, Cavalin Custom Solutions. We got their link to their website in the comments below, but they handle everything. They handle all the DIC benefit stuff, so they can help guide you through that as well. So if you got questions, there are answers. Now let's talk about some myth busting, right? Common questions. These are ones that I wrote down because they are the ones that I see a lot. The question is, if my spouse died after years of service, I'm not eligible. Or years after service. Like they died 20 years after they got out of service. Yeah, right? Again, it's not based on that. It's based on, is it because of something they were service connected they called
right? And that's when I think we talked about on another episode where I said that one of my personal stories that I had about somebody that it was 20 years and years we're trying to work for DIC, could not get it, and then finally got it because we found something. It was like, oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah. So another one is a come to you and say, hey, my spouse died, my veteran spouse died, but it wasn't because of anything he was service connected for, so I guess I'm not eligible for this. Not true, right? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
If you meet the criteria we talked about, if they were 100% in total for 10 years, or if they're married 100% in total for 8 years, then that opens the door.
Yes.
So don't think that it's just because they didn't die from a certain, because a lot of times they die. What's written down on the death certificate is not one of their service-connected disabilities.
Like, let's just say we'll do something because I'm 100% P&T. 10 years from now, if I stick my finger in a light socket and I pass away, DIC. But she has to file for it. She wouldn't know unless I told her.
Would be the way you die.
It would be.
Putting your finger in a light socket. That's typical Marine way to go.
Let me take this fork and just go.
Oh, dear Lord. All right. Let's get into what the payments are, right? Because a lot of the veteran spouses out there, widowed spouses, are probably wondering, okay, all right, I am now understanding that I'm eligible. I had no idea. What does this look like from a payment standpoint? So what is that? What in 2025, what's the base rate starting out for a spouse that qualifies for DIC?
This is where these numbers kind of stick in here. So there's going to be that 8-year rule for being married. So for your under 8 years, it's going to be and service connection. So it's 8 years being service connected at whatever it is, and being married for 8 years for that time. If it's under that, it's $1,653. If it's longer than that, then it is 1978, something like that. Don't quote me on that one completely.
Mm-hmm. But it's more.
But it will be more. And then there's also, you got your dependents.
That's the base rate if you're just a spouse.
Yep, just the base.
Just like, VA benefits. If you have dependents, right? There are situations where there's add-ons. So most common would be dependents and children, right? So for every dependent under 18 or every dependent under 23 and full-time student, that would be an add-on for that monthly stipend. Aid in attendance.
Aid in attendance.
And define that real quick.
That is advanced daily living that the VA pays for if a spouse...
The surviving spouse.
The surviving spouse needs those advanced dailies.
So if you're the surviving spouse and your husband was a veteran and you qualify for DIC and you need aid in attendance, you will get additional compensation. Okay, so anything else that can be an add-on for this too?
Housebound.
Housebound, okay. What is meaning?
They are significantly and substantially have to be at home. Like they cannot leave their house.
And I think another important thing to highlight, is these benefits for the surviving spouses or children, they're indefinite until their death.
Correct.
And the only change to that rule is going to be remarriage, right?
Remarriage, kids graduating.
But if your child is permanently disabled themselves, then it's indefinite. For example, if your spouse passed away, eligible for DIC, you would get that $1,650 whatever base pay. You've got 2 surviving dependents, so it bumps it up additionally, and you were married with them for 8 years. That's that additional bump, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's just important to understand that there's all these factors that go into it. If you're a veteran watching this, you should probably teach your wife, because if you, God forbid, you die, it's like a life insurance policy. This is here to help take care of them after you pass away.
Right.
So they are not going to know about this unless the VA reaches out to them. Or if you're a MIL spouse or a veteran spouse watching this, this is what you're going to do. It's the game plan. No, a lot of people don't take advantage of this. It's because there's just not a lot of education around it.
There is not. Personally, from a personal standpoint, I know I'm 100%, and I know that it will be my demise, right? So I know what I'm service connected is going to be on that death certificate. So I have a packet made. So my DD-214's in there. I have the claims, the intent, the burial benefits, what I want, the headstone, all life planning.
That's amazing, right? So it's kind of like an I Love Me book, right? So you got it all in there. Mm-hmm. It's an I Death Me book. So
yeah,
that way when you die, your wife has something to open, and it's a game plan that's already laid out.
Right. Yep.
I know it's morbid, but it's
morbid, but it's important.
We all die.
The unfortunate part was what happened is my father passed away, and nothing, and we're just scrambling. Try to figure out what to write down. Where's this DD-214?
That's the story.
Where's all these records?
That's the story we commonly see, right? And it's just like a dog chasing his own tail sometimes, and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
So hopefully this episode equips you with some of that foundational knowledge.
Right.
So now we got a deceased or a widowed spouse, right? Their partner just passed away, or you have an eligible parent or dependent, and they want to file for this. What are the steps to file for this?
There's multiple avenues where you can go about this. So you can do it yourself through the va.gov website. You can do a VSO. You can have them help you. Claims rep, attorney. So that's where you're going to start. It's going to be there. DD-214 must have.
Yep. Service records,
DD-214. That is the most important document you're going to ever need in that death certificate.
And the death certificate, medical records, proof of service-connected disabilities.
Yes.
These are some of just the basic ones.
Just basic stuff. Yeah.
And that's going to help get you launched, right?
Right.
This is confusing. So some people either do your research or get proper representation. All right. I mean, there are accredited and non-accredited places out there. Some are better than others. Either way, do your homework and make the best informed decision for you and your family. The structure of which you apply for DIC is very similar to VA benefits, right?
It's almost same exact thing.
You start out with an intent to file.
Intent to file.
Right? And what does that do for you? What does that what does that do for the spouses?
Saves the date. Because here's the thing would be is it's not. They don't automatically, if it was 5 years ago, that's when the benefit starts. And I will say from a personal experience, DIC takes a very long time. It's a long process.
Just
save that date because you get all that money.
What is there a fast process in the VA? When it comes to benefits, I don't know.
Not really. To be honest, you have to be. There's so much stipulations to be the priority, and are you actually really priority? Don't know, but
the key is get that intent to file. At least it locks you in for your back pay date, right?
For your back pay.
So let's get into some common questions, misconceptions, myths that we can kind of alleviate. I know we've already talked about it, but for DIC, if your veteran spouse dies, do they only have to die while on active duty to be eligible for this?
No,
right?
Just a service connection.
Expand on it too.
They would have to have that service connection for being on that. So if it's high blood pressure, that 0% hypertension, and that's on the death certificate, I say automatically, but you don't automatically. You have to do it yourself. But you can apply for it because that was the service connection of cause of death.
Yeah. So again, if they died from a service-connected disability, eligible. Correct. If you've been married with them for 8 years, or they've had it for 10 years and they're 100% total, they're eligible.
Correct.
All right. This is not designed for someone who dies on active duty.
No.
All right, so now we've talked a lot about what the pay is established with DIC, right? Benefits. So what besides the monthly stipend and payment do the spouses and dependents get with DIC?
There's going to be your burial benefit, which changes because now it would be a service connected burial benefit, which it gives you more money. There's some other things which I get to deep conversation about all the burial benefits. So then you get the gravestone marker. You can do a headstone depending on wherever you're going because it depends on the funeral.
All the burial stuff. Yeah.
Another one would be you get grief counseling.
Which is bereavement's a huge thing, right? So being able to have access to that is huge.
Right. Absolutely. Another one that's probably going to be the most important is CHAMP VA benefits.
Man, if you don't know about CHAMP VA, do your homework. So so that's usually it's reserved for 100% P&T veterans, right? And it allows like Medicaid level kind of healthcare benefits for spouses. Right?
So it's great because they don't have to just use Medicare; they get to actually get it bumped up a little bit, a little bit better care because the VA is going to cover that cost.
Yeah, it's a significant cost savings from a healthcare insurance coverage. I mean, essentially, you're having free healthcare insurance coverage.
Oh, it's absolutely free. Absolutely. If you have
free in the sense that you to lose your family.
I'll word this a little bit better because this does confuse a lot of people about CHAMP VA. If you don't have insurance at all, you use CHAMP VA, then yes, there's going to be some out-of-pocket costs, but it's good insurance. It's very small. But if you have, say, if you're on Social Security, just like Social Security, and you're on welfare, or not welfare, Medicaid, Medicare, that's your primary.
And your secondary, yeah.
And then this becomes secondary, so you have no out-of-pocket costs.
So it'd save you so much money and having to go to the private market. So that's one of the other benefits. And then education, right? Chapter 35?
Chapter 35.
So you could use the spouse the dependents can go back to school, have a monthly stipend, get it all paid for, right?
Correct. Yep. So they get to actually use the education. And it doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah.
I've actually had one lady who came to me, got her DIC, and she said, "Oh, I get education now." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go finish out my PhD."
They say you can't teach an old dog tricks, but you can. You're never too old to learn. Yeah, good. And then, I think VA home loans, you'd still be eligible.
Still eligible.
Right? So it's important to have access to that too. Another question we get a lot is, say the surviving spouse, the veteran died, and they qualify for DIC. The surviving spouse is already on disability. Can they double dip? Are they allowed to have DIC benefits on top of disability benefits? Expand. Context. Give us some context on that.
So yes. So basically what it is your disability for Social Security is based on your whatever the whole Social Security. I mean, another one, it's crazy, but it's non-taxable income. DIC is non-taxable income. So that is your income and your income alone.
Yeah. So the bottom line is yes. So you can get both. Another common one we see a lot is, and it's a sad one, is can I get DIC if my veteran spouse committed suicide?
Absolutely.
Yes. So it just has to have been from one of the service-connected disabilities, right? Mm-hmm. So we see this quite often. And unfortunately, PTSD, bipolarism, depression, a lot of these mental health issues, even chronic pain.
I've actually had somebody who they got into a car accident because they fell asleep at the wheel because of sleep apnea, PTSD. Yeah, and they were so tired they just nodded off.
And I recently did one. It was an accidental overdose, and it was because they had severe PTSD and they're using substances to help mask it, and they gave themselves too much and they never woke up.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes, the bottom line is if it is from a service, if you can trace it back to a service-connected disability, they should and they will be able to qualify for DIC.
Correct.
Another one is, how long do you need to be married to qualify? I think we already went into this, but
1 year.
Let's just clarify. How long do you have to be married to qualify for DIC?
Must be 1 year. Minimum of 1 year. So
minimum of 1 year.
Minimum of 1 year.
Or have a child with them.
Or have the child with them.
Biological or adopted.
Or the common law one. But that one's very that's not that's very uncommon, but it's still out there.
And then the next one I just want to re-highlight, what if I remarry? I'm getting DIC right now, but I'm in love with this person and I want to remarry. What happens?
Well, if you're under the age of 55, it stops.
Yeah.
If you're over the age of 55, you'll be able to still collect on it, but under it will stop.
Or if you turn 55, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It will kick back in the day you turn 55. So I passed away. Carrie goes and marries somebody, and she's 42. She's going to have to wait until the date of her 55th birthday.
Yeah.
And then it'll kick back in.
Highlighting some case studies, success stories that we have seen here at Xterra Health is important, right?
Yes.
So is there one that sticks out to you that you've seen that we've done and has been successful and made a huge impact on that person's life?
It's going to be the suicide would be the most one one I've seen. That's a very common success story for us.
Yeah.
It's like trying to make the VA understand. We understand the reasons behind it, because it's going to make it, people, unfortunately, that it happens, people's that, just are mentally ill. And so they find their way out. So
yeah, it's an extremely difficult one to do.
It's very hard,
but it's important, right?
Very.
And so again, if you're a milspouse, suicide is horribly tragic, right? And it is disruptive to the family on so many levels.
Right.
Let the VA, let this be one avenue that can at least extend some grace to your family, right? Whether give you some breathing, right? Some grief counseling, some help you walk through it, at least, some benefits to take care of you for the rest of your life.
Right.
Right. One for me is that what really particularly stood out is I was working with a spouse of a Vietnam veteran. He was exposed to Agent Orange. He had a respiratory illness, and he died from that complications of that respiratory illness. We were able to do the whole process. We got her and her son, who was a teenager, DIC benefits. And because of that, the teenage son who was just about to go to college was able to have his college education covered by Chapter 35 benefits. You know, they were from a middle to low class income family. It would have been very difficult, and there had been no first generation college students. To get that teenage student or son into college would have been very difficult. Because of this, and because of DIC benefits, that kid is now in college, right?
Yeah.
And he's going to school that he wants to go to.
Right.
And he's going to be a first-time college grad, right, in the family. It's huge. So in closing, you know, DIC is a huge benefit that often gets left on the table just because of miscommunication, uneducation. It is important to understand the qualifying conditions, right? So the veteran died from a service-connected disability, or they were 100% total for 10 years as a single person or 8 years as a married person. And, you know, and that is it. That is the qualifying criteria. And so if you are a spouse or a dependent or a parent of a deceased veteran, do your homework. Look into it. You know, they probably did not set you up for success with their having everything available, but you can start accessing this stuff now because you could be leaving huge amounts of benefits for you and your family on the table.
Oh, you should be leaving hundreds of thousands on the table.
Yeah, if you consider the lifetime of benefits, it's for your entire lifetime. Yeah, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional benefits that will take care of you and your children and your family.
Right.
Right? Let the VA help you in that sense. Yep. Anything else that you want to, address in closing as before we wrap up?
The thing I do want to put out is that, again, this is not an automatic. You have to file for it.
Yeah, right.
It's some misconception out there is that the VA is going to know and automatically give it to you. No, because here's one of the biggest things that happens a lot, and I've done it when I was a VSO, is that month of death gets taken away, and that's 100%. We're looking at $4,000. They take that month of death away because they didn't file for DIC, so they don't grant the month of death. So now you get the $4,000. You get the bank. So say if it was after the first, they'll take that money away, or not even take it away. They just say, you owe us money. We're gonna get it.
Yeah, they always collect.
I understand that it's a very hard situation because that person has passed away. Mm-hmm. It's very sad, but it start immediately. Yeah. As soon as do your grieving, by all means grieve. Give yourself some time to grieve, but don't wait too long. Yeah. Go and do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you just said, and those are all valid points that I'm glad you brought up as we close things out here. So thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, folks, that's a wrap on dependency and indemnity compensation. If you stuck with us this long, you know more about DIC than most VA reps you'll ever meet. And yes, Josh, I can already tell some of the acronym jokes from DIC.
You're making me burn in here.
Okay, but seriously, DIC is about protecting veterans' families when it matters most. And at Xterra Health, we're proud to stand in the gap to make sure no survivor gets left behind. Now, if you thought this episode was good, our next episode is going to hit close to home. We're breaking down how veterans can still get service-connected for musculoskeletal disabilities. Think knees, backs, shoulders, you name it. Even when their service treatment records are totally silent. Because, let's be honest, nobody wanted to be labeled a sick call ranger. So until next time, stay mission ready.